Heyo, duckies and dice fiends! Welcome in to a very chaotic wholesome presents table talk show, where it will either be incredibly weird low energy or incredibly manic. I don't know which way the pendulum will swing. We had a really cool thing to talk about today, except the thing didn't come through. The thing that we were supposed to have that was going to be delivered to our inboxes today was not delivered. So David was like, hey, I'm trying to go to PAX Unplugged. Talk to me about con prep. So yes, we're a little off kilter today. Normally we'd go through all the stuff you can find us on. I'm about to move cross country, so I got nothing to plug right now. We're gonna BRB for a bit. We are doing the talk show next Tuesday, unless our guest would like to reschedule.
You fucking pixel trap. Continue.
Unless our guest wants to reschedule, because it's going to take me a little bit to get the VOD ready, because my computer will not be in my possession. But don't have a whole lot to plug, except if you haven't, please go check out the Emergency Hour podcast. We just recorded another episode last night, and season 4 is going heckin' amazing. And yeah, next week we will have a special guest, Callum, and we're going to be talking about his projects. And yes, with that, now that it looks like Pixel Chat has been fixed, David, who the heck is you, and what the heck is?
I remember when I remember when I lost my mind. There's something so different. No, I am not going to do a dramatic reading of Crazy by Gnarls Barkley. Mostly because it's already been done in a TikTok, and I can come up with original content. But no, hi, I am David, aka Full Rubber Ducky, and this is the Chaotic Wholesome Presents Table Talk Show, Tuesday Table Talk Show, at least for now. probably going to continue to be Tuesday, but maybe at a different time because, time zones are a thing. Where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better GM, how to beg your best friends for money, how to be a better person, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody can have a good time.
Yes. And like I said, we had a really cool thing that, we'll be able to talk about eventually. We just can't talk about it yet because it's not in our boxes. We can't talk about a thing that we haven't seen or read. Oh my goodness, the transmissions. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Hamalu, welcome. So yes, Tora Talks Creativity. Thank you. Welcome on in, everyone. This is the Table Talk Show. We do this every Tuesday. This week, as we were just saying, so sorry to you who've been here, it's a little bit off because number one, I'm getting ready to move cross country, which is why my background is very boring. This weekend, everything that I own gets put on a truck and leaves my possession for an undisclosed amount of time. No issue. Number two, we had a really cool thing that was going to be in our inboxes that we could talk about that was not sent to our inboxes. So we cannot comment on the thing, which we have not read. But we will be talking about the thing, but we can't say what it is because NDA. But suffice it to say that it has to do with dice and or dungeons and or dragons. But I am Kay, one of your co-hosts. David here is my wonderful partner in crime. And David, what are we talking about today?
When it comes to the dungeons, make sure that you have your chains and your antiseptic spray prepared. You need both. No, we're talking about con stuff. I am mostly officially going to PAX Unplugged. It'll be my first tabletop con. I am terrified and panicking, and so I need Kay, who is panicking for different reasons, to reassure me that this isn't folly and that I won't be stranded in Philly. And let me tell you, stranded in Philly is bad for a lot of people. It'd be worse for me because being the guys in Philly, we've never got along, and we never will get along. And I'm okay with that, and they're okay with that. I just don't want to be stranded in their city.
Totally fair.
And also Eagles country. Gross. Oh God, I hope there isn't an Eagles game while I'm there. No. Anyway,
there has been a Christmas parade.
Wow. So, yeah.
Had Elmo, oddly enough.
Listen, Elmo is one of us. Okay.
We're like standing outside of the panel area where there's windows facing, and just parade floats start going by of Christmas stuff with an Elmo on one of them. That happened.
Oh, okay. So something I do want to address, and I'm not going to name names here, and only Kay will know who I'm talking. But there are people that get out here on Beyonce's internet, and they're like, hey, slide me some money for this extremely predictable event that happened in my life. Slide me some dough for this mundane thing that I need money for, that everybody else also needs money for. And I laid in bed looking at this, like being angry. And then I thought about it. And there are people who give those people money. And I was talking to my business partner last night, and he was trying to argue to me that not all billionaires are evil. And I was like, there is Dolly Parton, but everybody else gets the smoke. But he was talking about someone that he knew through his social network that was someone that was a billionaire, but was also giving away money faster than he was making it. And it was actually a challenge for him to give away the money in an ethical and responsible manner, faster than he was making it. And for him and for all the people, including people in this chat who give generously to people who are in need, Um, I want to say thank you, like because I can't like if I could snap my fingers and make people's problems go away, I would do it all the goddamn time. Like I need K to make a successful game studio so that I can be a multimillionaire. So that I can then go, hey, you're having trouble with your dinosaur medical insurance this month. It's $7,000 to get that special dinosaur tumor removed and studied. Here you go. Just done. There, knock it out. But yeah, so I am incredibly grateful to the people who help those that I can't necessarily help. Um, but cons. Uh,
There was
so
a rant before the rant,
right,
and I'm wondering if we can backtrack and find
yeah, I have no idea where I am now.
it.
I'm just lost in the woods.
So, you had beef. You were talking about your beef with Philly
Yep.
and panicking about your first tabletop con
Yes, and the Eagles. Fuck the Eagles.
and the Eagle.
The thing that the dude and I have in common is we both hate the fucking Eagles, except they're different Eagles. But so con. So like like any other con, you need a place to lay your head. You need to put food in your body. If you don't have an eating disorder, and if you do have an eating disorder, put food in your body. And then it's the con. So like what give your usual con rundown because you've been to many, and then also talk to us about the difference between a tabletop con and other conventions you've been to.
So, for those of you who don't know, I have been doing conventions 5 ever, from Anime Expo, San Diego Comic Con, New York Comic Con, PAX East and West, E3, both as a. I have rarely gone to a convention just as a con goer. I have rarely just been a guest. I used to work at DeviantArt, so we helped put together and run Artist Alley because we sponsored Artist Alley, so we were in charge of a bunch of that. I've been a journalist at them. I've done booths at E3 and at SDCC. I've been a panelist at a bunch of stuff. So, yes. When I was bringing in folks to be journalists at E3, had some very basic rundowns, which don't apply. They don't all apply to everyone because obviously we were training journalists to represent the blog that we wrote for. So they had a couple extra things, but there's still good things to keep in mind, which is number one, hydrate. Make sure you have water. Coffee is not hydration. Yes, drink it, but drink water as well. Two,
It's like we get it. You're
deodorant.
bisexual. Also drink coffee.
Yes, deodorant.
Non-negotiable.
Please, I am begging you, as a person who has attended comic book conventions, video game conventions, and tabletop conventions, and anime conventions, deodorant.
Like this isn't a bus in the Italian countryside. Like it's not cool.
Three, comfortable shoes. And look, I understand there are cosplayers who this is exceptions for because they are but for your comfort, I don't care if they're ugly. Now, this goes somewhat directly in opposition to my number 4, which is bring shirts that don't have holes. Now, again, this was largely for gaming journalists who were representing our thing. Here's the thing. At a convention, everyone knows you're going to wear your comfiest shoes because if you don't, your feet.
Right. But also dress like you're going to be perceived.
Right. First San Diego Comic-Con, my feet literally bled. Because I went to the Excelsior party and got my photo with Stan Lee. Without paying for it, without standing in line, just managed to be there. Wore high heels to make sure that happened. Tiny high heels. My feet bled on the first night of a 5-day convention.
Oh, no.
That sucked.
That's terrible.
So, Comfy shoes, we all understand. But again, especially even if you're not representing a blog, right? If you're there representing yourself as a TTRPG performer, as a producer, as someone who regularly works with these channels, deodorant and a shirt that isn't full of holes, that has been washed at recent
Recently, yeah.
past. Yeah, like please. Um, depending on how con resilient you are, because some people can go and some people can't. I am a person, I have a con battery. This is also my travel battery. I'm like, cool, I know what's gonna happen. So I like don't talk to anyone for 2 days before the convention, charge up my social battery, and I go, and I fucking go, and I go, and I go. And you can ask Kate Tease, you can ask Salty Queer, you can ask Candace the Magnificent. How she wear a shirt except through the holes. Ribbon. Ribbon. If you can ask the EPP crew, I go. I can live on about 3 hours of sleep for about 3 to 4 nights at a convention just fine. Then I will crash and die, but that is many years of con buildup plus international travel. That is a muscle. Don't expect that. You are going to be exhausted. You are going to need to consume a lot of calories. So be prepared to just be like, I don't care if it's bad con food. And again, keep in mind if you are after parties are great places to network. Bring, especially if you're femme, bring drink covers. Watch out for your friends, and don't drink to the point where you make an ass of yourself. And that limit is different for everyone. But remember, you're going to have not eaten much, been on your feet all day, probably be dehydrated, and then you're pouring a lot of alcohol into your system. So do probably a drink or two less than you think.
Kay has seen me on the floor moaning drunk before. Okay, just yelling for no fucking reason.
Hey, Lurking
Drunk.
Rider.
I have been 3 sheets to the wind, absolutely obliterated in Kay's presence. Also, there was a New Year's Eve where we started with a bottle of champagne and then kept drinking. Like I was hammered.
Mimics and Misfit says, on the floor moaning was an interesting.
Well, what do you think happens in the dungeons with the dragons? But I've also been to professional events too with Kay. Now, most of the people I've met in my life, I can drink under the table, no problem. And at these professional events, Kay has observed me every time, 1 drink per hour, because
And chase it with a glass of water.
I love alcohol. Alcohol is my favorite. And especially if I'm at like a corporate party and there's an open bar, oh man, the desire to just get absolutely fucked up off of free liquor. 1 drink an hour. Now, you should be a professional at drinking by now. Like if you are 30 years old or older, you've been drinking 9, 10, 15, 20 years at that point. And so you should know your limits. If you don't know your drinking limits, go open a bottle and find out right now. Like have 1 tonight, 2 tomorrow, 3 the next night, until you hit the point where you're like, oh no, I can't. And then you know your limits.
But then you also have to like do that in the presence of someone you know and trust. Because sometimes you're like, no, I was fine, and everyone else is like,
yeah, you were fucked up. But yeah, but once you know your limits, follow those limits to a T. And I think the overall advice for cons is be responsible. Be responsible in the way you dress. Be responsible in your hygiene. Be responsible in the way you take care of yourself in terms of eating and drinking. Be responsible in terms of the alcohol that you consume, and be cognizant of how you're presenting yourself at all times. Because
and I'm also going to throw in, and I hate that I have to do, but I do. responsible for those you're there with and those you care about. A lot of assholes out there. Like I said, I go to conventions. I always have drinks. They're not the fancy, expensive ones. They go over your drink and a straw goes through them, and that's how we drink at a bar these days. And David knows I hate drinking out of straw. Drinking alcohol out of a straw is an abomination, but I have to do it.
I outdrank an entire wedding party of Polish people drinking Polish vodka and avoided a hangover the following day, unlike everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
hydrate is indeed.
Everybody has a superpower. You can't convince me that everybody doesn't have. Kay can evade detection in a crowd. Just smoke bomb, gone, vanish. I'm good at tracking people through a crowd for various reasons. And when I tell you that Kay has lost me multiple times in under an hour in a small room, wild.
Wasn't trying.
Right. It wasn't trying. Like, listen, I know my FBI handler is watching me right now. Call your buddy at the CIA, tell him to get in touch with Kay. However many zeros are in that proposed check, add a zero, but you will get some world-class work. But my superpower is I don't get hangovers at all.
Drinking out of a straw is what gets me super drunk super fast.
Yeah, because it just goes and it's gone.
I just like. I also don't get hangovers.
Right.
Or at least I didn't until very, very recently. They're still very, very.
And so I could drink a bottle of whiskey and be done at like midnight and then get out of bed at 8 a.m. and feel great. Like the only time I feel like getting out of bed and like going for a run or like exercising or cleaning the house or anything is after a night of hard drinking. And that said, so for me, it's not a problem. For the rest of you normies that get hangovers, why do you do this?
Mornings come very quickly.
Oh yeah.
Ribbon says I had a friend in college whose superpower was he never got headaches. We had to convince him. That was me not believing hangovers are real. Like the first time I got a hangover, I was like, I think I've like got the flu, and everyone's like, you drank last night. You were partying last night, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not hungover. That's not what a hangover is. They're like, what do you think a hangover is? I'm like, a hangover is when you've got a headache and you feel dry. They're like, wait a minute. That's what you think a hangover is? I'm like, yeah. What happens after I drink? Are you saying that Kay could give Carmen Sandiego and Where's Waldo for US peeps a run for their money? I presume Kay stealth rolls only on Nat 1. Yeah.
Here's the thing. When you eventually track down Carmen Sandiego will be at a cafe drinking a cup of coffee. And in the opposite chair, there will be or in front of the opposite chair, there will be another cup of coffee, but the person there is gone. And that's because Kay went to the bathroom.
But yes, that's the other thing to keep in mind is that mornings come very quickly. Nights are very late. You have days to get through. Here's my other, so this is all kind of generic con stuff, right? It took me years to realize that Carmen Sandiego was the villain.
Is she though? She's stealing from rich people. Anyway, continue.
PAX Unplugged has a curse in that there are a lot of restaurants near, but not that many. And everyone gets out of the con at the same time, and everyone goes to a sit-down restaurant at the same time. And then everyone is confused why it is 2 hours wait to either get a seat or plan ahead at PAX Unplugged. Plan your meal times. The number of PAX Unplugged parties or dinners I have been to where we ordered pizza to the lobby, sat in the lobby with whiskey, whatever we had, waited an hour and a half, 2 hours for pizza to arrive, and then just ate in the lobby and then went up to bed. Be aware, there is nowhere around PAX Unplugged unless you get in a car or on public transit. That person, trust that in Philly, and get the heck away from the convention center where you are going to get food in and out in an hour or less. It's not going to happen. It happened once for us because we were eating at like 3 p.m. because one of us had a panel and the before after. But yes, plan for food. If you can, this is my ultimate con hack and I recognize this is a privilege thing because it does cost. It's why it's unplugged. It's a little bit of a privilege because it is a little bit extra each night. But if you can get one of the hotel suites that have a microwave in it, remake some food. Make you a breakfast burrito or something, or go to a Ralph's.
You mispronounced gumbo.
Some gumbo. Put it in that little mini fridge. Have some food just there. So if you are starving, that's the other thing. Snacks. Almonds, granola bars, chocolate, whatever snack. Suckers. I give away suckers at every convention just because that little sugar rush can be a pop you need. I would not bring gumbo to a con. Also, pro tip, and this, hold on, I will show you right now. This makes me the singular most popular person at a convention. And I cannot tell you the free pins, the free jump to the front of the line, the free stuff that I have gotten. Because on Sunday, one at the booth is talking like this. And I'm like, you want a lozenge? So many free pins, so much free stuff. I don't ask for it. I'm just like, please take some of these. I am the most popular person at PAX Unplugged on Sunday. Bring throat lozenges. Bring too many. I started putting them in goodie bags for handouts just because everybody needs it. Because sick or not, you've been talking the whole time. You've not been sleeping. You've been pouring alcohol and coffee down your throat. You are wrecked. Also, it's Philly, so it's cold F, and that cold air is just...
I can't wait to be cold. I can't wait.
Yes, or find that girl with honey. She has cough drops and a sleeves of honey. And that is so great. It's just a little tube of honey, and you like, and then you...
Does she have hot honey?
Don't think she has hot... I know she had... I think one year she had buckwheat honey, which I don't know if you've ever had buckwheat honey.
I have not.
It's strange. It's not sweet. It's very interesting. Kato gave me some because he got it and he hated it. But it's great in tea. Turning it.
Just no. If you're at PAX and somebody hands you hot honey, they're diabolical.
Have I told you that I have jalapeno sugar?
No.
I have jalapeno sugar. It's great for salt, spicy drinks.
You know how I feel about rimming. Just right over the plate.
I walked right into it. Yep. The migraine painkiller meds I use require me to have food, so I do not go any place without snacks and drinks. I'm not allowed on location because of said consumables, and I never go there. Yeah, I get very annoyed when no. Keep in mind, if you are like me and you are not just a dice fiend, but a metal dice fiend, you do go through metal detectors at PAX Unplugged, so have your dice in a separate bag that you can out and let security check, because if you go through and it goes off and you have to dig for the dice bag at the very
I mean, they're going to want me down anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, I think that's...
So
I know
what differentiates?
Chat. Yeah,
yep,
several people in chat have done a PAX Unplugged. So if you in chat have advice, like hit it up. Yeah, Rex says I keep a few protein bars in my bag at PAX just in case I crash or need food or forget to hit the market for a stack. Yeah. So difference between PAX Unplugged and the others. So again, this is a little bit weird for me because most of the conventions I have gone to that are not PAX Unplugged, I am either working a booth or working as a journalist. Sometimes both. That was fun times at Red Bull when I was working the E3 booth for half the day and then going and doing journalist things the other half of the day while organizing a bunch of journalists. Fun. PAX, I find there is a lot less wait in line to do things than in video game conventions. Here's the problem. If you're like me and you're a dice gremlin, PAX Unplugged it's just a big, because there's dice everywhere. So pretty. And some of them are cheap, and some of them are flesh colored and squishy. And some of them are dog toys that look like
Chris.
There are a lot of, it's both TTRPG and like board game. So there's a lot of creators and you can just walk up and start talking to them. A thing to keep in mind, because like, okay, at a video game convention, you know, you walk up, you play the game, you're talking to the dev or someone, marketing person who works there, the community manager who's telling you about it, and that's all great. Flesh dice for the necromancer, I love.
We do love bone dice around here.
At a video game, like, you go, you play the game, you check it out. It's usually a demo. The game is probably not out yet, or if it is out, you're doing like a Final Fantasy 14 raid to try and beat the boss to get a special thing. A lot of these creators, like, yes, they're there to tell you about their game, but they're also there to sell. There are very small margins in both board and roleplay. So I think you're going to find a little bit more of a hard sell when talking to a lot of creators. And I say that just to warn people, but also like some grace. They've paid a lot of money, and they really do need to try and recoup that. I'm not saying you have to spend money everywhere, but be aware. And like, this is also a reminder of be aware of how much space you are taking up at a booth, because if you are definitely not buying or you are very on the fence about buying and you and your friends are taking up a lot of the space, that's a potential customer who would pay this person money that can't get to that booth. So try to be aware. There's so much space to play games. So many spaces. The cost of being there at the booth is for sure a big oof. Yeah, like, I have definitely been like, I really wish this creator would back off with this super hard sell, but then I'm also like, but you know what? I get it. I get why you're. There's so many things to play there. There's board games. A lot of these places you can walk up and they will have. Let's do a 3-minute demo of this card game, and they will just start playing the card game with you. There's a huge section to just go and play games. There's a huge section to go and paint minis. There are multiple lounges where you can sign up ahead of time to, like, the Diversity Saves Lounge. You can go and play a mystery Girl by Moonlight game run by Urban for free. You just have to sign up for it, show up. So there's so many cool things that you can do. I've never been to conventions in the US, but I've heard from people that have. If you can, take this people in the room, and they might have set aside so people can unwind and de-stress. I forget. It is the AFK room. And hopefully they manage to get funding again.
Fucking
yes, nerds. Cannot recommend it highly enough. Yes, so that is another thing about conventions, especially. I shock and surprise people, but David will confirm. I am not an extrovert. I play the part of one very well. But my social battery, at the end of the day, I need walls between me and the rest of it. It is me and the cats, and everyone else needs to fuck off affectionately.
The only way to reliably locate Kay at the end of a night at a party is you listen carefully for the Windows shutdown noise, and that's where Kay is. I've been at uh corporate events. I have been at the friends' houses, and I was looking at Kay, and no one else saw it, but I was like, oh, the Windows shutdown noise is playing right now. Like, we got a
It's
boogie.
like, we good. Get me the fuck out of
Yep.
here.
And it's just that fast.
Yeah, I know myself, and I'm really good at hiding it most of the time. But like, this is also a case of like peer pressure really doesn't work on me most of the time. Like, peer pressure only works on me if I kind of already want to do the thing. But if I'm like, I'm done, and people are like, no, stick around. I'm like, no. Now I'm mad. Why are you? I told you I don't want to do this thing. Stop.
Kay has spent their entire life telling men in Texas with guns, no. Do you really think you're going to out-bully them? No. You don't got it.
Now,
you don't got the juice.
Again, sometimes, some days, especially early in the convention, I will show up at the convention, doors open, which I forget if it's 9 or 10 a.m., but I will be at the convention, doors open. I will be annoying my roommates because I'm like, roommates. Now, I wake up at 6, 7 in the morning. My body and brain don't let me sleep in. So I'm like, I have been awake all this time. I have gotten ready. I have packed my thing. I have the goodies to give away. I am ready to hecking go. Why are we not out the door? The doors are open. We should be there. I will go until 3 or 4 a.m. I will get home. I will shower. I will collapse into bed. I will immediately sleep. I will be up at 6 or 7 the next morning hunting espresso because coffee is not good enough.
Yeah.
I need espresso.
You need that turbo shit.
And then I will be in the convention, doors open. And I will be there until the convention closes. And then we will go to a dinner. And then I will hit the bars and network until 3 or 4 in the morning. And then I will go and crash hard. Well, and then sometimes I'll end up with 3 or 4 friends back in the room talking, sharing stories. And then they will fuck off. Then I will crash. But be aware, all this stuff chains, it builds up, and it is very easy to get overwhelmed, especially like, so, okay, San Diego Comic-Con at the height was the worst. I knew extroverts who got overwhelmed at San Diego Comic-Con. Quite literally, when the San Diego Comic-Con bubble burst a little bit, I was working that year. I sent a friend a photo of my, like, nothing above kneecaps, right? And the person replied, like, what happened? I can see the carpet. That's how packed San Diego Comic-Con was, is you could not see the carpet anywhere. That's your secret. Always overwhelmed. Exactly. But PAX Unplugged is a huge convention hall. Very little of it is carpeted. So all of that sound echoes and carries. There is a constant low roar. So I've been told, I haven't used them, but I've been told that those the loop earplugs, which like bring down noise, they're apparently excellent for concerts. They are lifesavers, especially at Unplugged, because again, it is constant. So if you get overwhelmed, you can get out of the hall. There's places you can sit, and then there is, again, Take This is an incredible organization. Loop earplugs are the best. Confirmation. My friends Dr. B and Cypher of Tear both work on it. It is an incredible thing. It is a nonprofit charity that focuses on mental health, especially in teachers. They do amazing work. I'm hoping we can do some fundraising for them. They've had a lot of trouble, but they support the AFK room. There is a diversity lounge. There are dedicated board game play spaces. Pathfinder and D&D. Pathfinder have it last year? I don't. Pathfinder. I know Warhammer was there. I don't think Pathfinder was. D&D was, and had like a dedicated D&D hall. Go and play downstairs. There's lots of places to play. There's plenty to do. Even if David will, and I know some people who've been to Unplugged with me back me up. I am very good at doing the quick run of the con. I get in, especially Unplugged, and I'm like, poop, 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 poop. Okay, I need to go to back that one. I need to go back. But like, I have some friends who are like, I want to walk the first thing and stop and look at everything. And I'm like, no, I need to do a quick case of the whole.
We're on the clock. We got to move.
Right. Because if I spend all my money on the first aisle, and the thing that it turns out I absolutely need is on the last aisle, then I've spent all my money. So I got, and then I can circle back and be like, okay, now I have an idea and I can. San Diego Comic-Con, by that description, sounds like loop hell for me. PAX Unplugged, by comparison, is a kind of heaven. Shout out to Dr. B. That man is a blessing. No one wears a tiara better. Yes, he is. I actually met him through, I host the gig, which is the gathering. I met him through that. And just a true and genuine. Got to stand in line outside of a D&D creators event with him because they had overpacked the place and they couldn't let anyone else in. So we're just standing outside in the cold in Philly, just chit-chatting for like an hour and a half. And it was great. It was one of the best times I'd had. There are adjustable loop earplugs now that let you adjust the frequency range and suppression, so you should be able to wear them in different environments, but I haven't tried them yet. That sounds awesome. So yes, especially if you are an introvert, it is very easy to get overwhelmed. It is very easy to just run out of steam. And running out of steam can be social battery runs out. Running out of steam can be, oops, I forgot to eat. My blood sugar tanked and now I can't function. Running out of steam can be, I've had a headache and or migraine and I can't. So keep in mind, give yourself grace, and always kind of know, I tried to get hotels as close to convention as I can. I can't afford the one that's directly attached. That's like the official, right? But
yeah, because who has $4,000 for a weekend?
And also because if you find the thing you need that you can't live without, and it's a great big board game or a great big plushie or it's something heavy, I want to be able to run back to the room and drop it off without spending half my day and or $50 on a. There are lots of places around PAX Unplugged that you can get that have like, especially, this is probably more PAX East, but you know, there are places where you can get that have like the shuttle service, but that can be tricksy, especially because PAX Unplugged has evening, and those are the acquisitions, are the mothership, those are the D&D, those are the bigger games. So if you want to go and see these bigger name people play and perform, you're going to be there until 9, 10, midnight. And that's if you don't go to the bar to network and
right
after.
Yeah, the after parties start at 10.
If you run out of steam, get to the sauna.
Get to the chopper. No. And not to belabor a point, but to reiterate, to make sure that everyone is clear. If you are an introvert, like me, you will hit a wall the first day, and then you will find your second wind, and then you will hit another wall, and then you will have to keep going. So, like, there are lots of things that you can do to make the experience easier. Like I said, there are break rooms, there are different things. Kay can tell you that I'm very good at finding the quiet spot in a convention center and plopping down so that everybody leaves me alone. But you also have to make peace with the fact that as an introvert, it's going to be uncomfortable for you. And if you're not accustomed, no, even if you are, I don't care who you are. If you're on your feet 12 to 16 hours a day, every day for 3 days straight, your legs are going to be busted by the end.
Yes.
So you got to make peace with that beforehand.
Lurking Rider says, and if you run out of a different kind of steam.
Yep.
So
gotta open the valve. Look, Steam had been a thing for like 15 years before I made the connection of like Valve. And you turn the valve and it releases Steam. God damn. Yeah, no, like ooh, suffering.
So PAX Unplugged does have some cosplay. Generally not as elaborate as the San Diego Comic-Con, but people do cosplay.
I mean,
you should be
nowhere in the world is as elaborate as the San Diego Comic. Yeah, continue.
like if you want to cosplay, people are so kind. In fact, a couple years I have to tell this story because it's one. I was there a couple years ago when Abria Iyengar was storyteller of honor. Um, I got so nice. I got to give her a dice that I'd made. But um, she like was walking through the con, and there were like these three young women dressed up as characters from Tales of Exandria, and this was just after that had aired. And they're kind of walking along, and Abria's like, "Love your cosplay," and they're like, "They."
Yep.
And she
Yep.
stopped and took pictures with them. Right. I've a couple times run into Mark Meir, and I'm just like, "I love Brother Saya," and he's like, "Thank you for watching the Black Tie Society. Can I have a picture with you?" Like, you charming motherfucker.
Right.
Um, the person I did not see in the wild there was Matt Mercer. He was slipping in and out because
You right.
I understand that. You are going to see bigger name people. You are going to have the opportunity to hang out with them. You are going to have the opportunity to dress up, and people will recognize your costume and ask you. And in fact, last year, one of my friends went dressed in the outfit for a character in a game that I ran that had not yet been aired. So no one could know who this character was, and people were still walking up to him being like, "Love the spider, love the jacket, what is this? Where do I find this? This is great, I want to know more." So I find people are nicer about cosplay. So if you're like, even I went one year as like a casual Laudna. I did like the shirt, I had a skirt, I kept my hair short and put like a little white streak there, and I had the little pate, the little rat with the bird's head. People loved it. People went out of their way. So people are much nicer about cosplay at Unplugged than I find they are at a lot of other conventions. Mileage, of course. But again, reminder: cosplay is not consent.
Yep.
Ask people before you take photos. Keep your hands to yourself. Ask people for hugs. And look, I know a lot of us, not a lot of us, a lot of people are trying to put COVID behind them. I still mask.
Shit's real.
Ask before handshakes. A lot of people will only do fist bumps, will only do elbow, will do chicken wing. Think even like I've had people ask, "Will you unmask for a photo?" It kind of depends. Like outside, sure. In the middle of the freaking
In the
hall,
petri
no,
dish, absolutely not.
like you can. I got the hair. I've got the purple eyeshadow. You know who I am. You can tell. So keep that in mind. Personalities, for lack of a better term, are good people, and then they enjoy the experience too. It's all well and fine. Be a bit weird. Just don't be weird. Yes. Again, like should I tell the really embarrassing story? I should tell the really embarrassing.
I mean, they're like 3.
Baby K. Some of y'all will know this. Will know this series. Baby K, like a defining touchstone for Baby K was the book The Black Griffin. I don't know how many of y'all have read that one, but it was by Larry Dixon and Mercedes Lackey. Mercedes Lackey has a ton of stuff. The Valdemar series. Very prolific. Prolific. Y'all, I have been going since 6 a.m. Very prolific author. And then for some of her books, she partners with Larry, who is her husband, who is an artist and a just bird enthusiast. So when she was making a book about griffins, like I love this book because they got into the detailing of like how the talons worked, and how the wings worked, and griffins that were like more eagle versus griffins that were more falcon. And it was like Baby K was just like, yes, it's like science with magic. That book was touchstone to me. And years later, I got to meet at a convention in Dallas, Fort Worth, and took me under his wing and was actually my mentor in the art world for a long time, introduced me to a lot of people, including Gail Simone, who's still. You adore Gary.
Yes.
That was the other awkward baby story. And I knew Larry for many, many years before I met partner. And I met her at, it was an outdoor free comic book day event. I was selling little self-published comics that I'd done. She's there with her stuff, and Larry had already signed my copy of the Black Griffin, but I'd also read the Magic series, which is Magic's Promise, Magic's Price, Magic's, and
I thought it was Magic's Apprentice, or is that a different book series?
That's different books. Danielle was the character. It was about a little gay boy, a little gay wizard, fantasy gay wizard, sad little angsty fantasy gay boy, baby K. So I had the Black Griffin and I had the Magic series. Ask her to go. Well, the Griffin trilogy. Those were already signed. And I go up to the table and I've known Larry forever. Larry has told her stories about me. She's like, oh, you're Kay, right? I hand over the books and I'm like, now, when I say angsty gay series, the angstiest. This was baby K fate. It was so angsty and romantic and miserable and magic, and she tortured this boy best way, right? It was like everything baby K wanted. So I'm up there and I'm like, she's signing my books, and when you're like, I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna be weird, I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna be weird, and I'm like, how could you do that to Danielle? I'm so fucking sorry. I am so sorry. And she's like, no, it happens all the time. That level of weird is absolutely fine at a convention. Going up to someone after a panel and going, I thought we were in that panel every time you, which is a conversation, a real conversation a friend of mine has had.
Oh God, no. Oh no, God, no.
Being weird, being nerdy. Again, I walked up to Abri and Iyengar, who didn't know me at all, and I'm like, I loved your character on this. I made a dice. Can I give it to you? You don't have to take it. I walked up to Mark Meir and said, I don't need anything. I know you're on break. I just wanted to say I love Brother Isaiah. And he's like, thank you. Oh, that's cool. Ask questions. Be chatty. But also, give them the opportunity to get away.
Who's the guy who invented Deadpool and can't draw feet?
Liefeld.
Yeah. So Liefeld has resting bitch face and resting grump face. And he looks like he will tear your meat off the bone. And I was at Comic-Con. Liefeld was sitting somewhere. I don't think it was Deadpool, but I had something that he'd written. I dig it out of my bag. And
Rob Liefeld, you're correct.
And my buddy is like, yo, that's him. And I'm like, oh, that's him? He's like, yeah, we should go talk to him. And I'm like, yeah, you should go talk to him. And he's like, nah, man, I'm not going to go talk to him. And I was like, we're at this comic convention because of you. I'm walking around with 30 of your comics in my bag. And we just saw Stan Lee and you're too intimidated to talk to this guy? So I go over there. I'm like, hey, Mr. Liefeld, love the pouches. And I said something else stupid. And he immediately brightened up. He was like it looked like a Kanye West photo shoot. It was dark. And then he immediately brightened up and was like, hey, glad you enjoyed. And so also remember that people the people who are there to be seen, to advertise a product, they get burnt out too. They get the Windows shutdown noise, and you got to respect that. But also, if it looks like somebody's about to fall through the earth, that may just be how they're recharging between people.
Yeah.
So be considerate. Give them an easy out. Say something nice. but they might just perk up and be like, a person.
Yeah.
Time to perform.
Because this is an effort, right? And I know more than one. I have more than one autistic. Like, I can do this, or I can answer your question.
Right.
I do not have the spoons to do both. David has the best way of describing things. All you can have as a DM. I envy your experience. David is a.
I'm not bad. And in the future, you will see David DMing on this channel. It's just we're playtesting some stuff right now.
So yes, and again, I'm just gonna go back to like check in on other people, be aware of other people. The tax enforcers are your friends. They're also kind to them. And again, the people working booths, I know it sucks to stand in that tea turtle line. Imagine how much it sucks to be at that tea turtle booth and have to shout out, "T-shirts are $20 or 4 for whatever." Hey, Mr. Live Producer. I was lucky enough to catch up with Terry Pratchett at a con. He had a visible badge he would use to indicate when he was in public, approach me, and when he was recharging. That's very smart. Like, that is very intense. Yeah, there's a lot of badges that I have hanging just over there, but guess what? They're all in a box, so I can't show you. They have like badge flags, which some of them will have their pronouns, right? I have pronoun pins as well. At PAX, this is very common, especially at Unplugged. But there's a lot of things that you can do, like fist bumps only, approach me, you do those, and
it's like the hanky code, but with less sex.
Yeah, like those can be really great ways for you to know who you can and can't approach. And again, like I said, I saw Mark Muir watching, and I'd kind of done like 2 laps because I'm like, I think that's Mark Muir. That can't be Mark Muir. No one else has noticed. Mark Muir is here, and no one else has noticed. No one else has reacted to the fact that Mark Muir is just gonna walk up, and I'm like, hey. And he asked me for the picture, which again, the most Riz thing ever, right? That I had that moment. I'm like, I'm stealing that. I'm gonna start asking people me because holy shit, does that make you feel special? And then like as we're walking away, I'm like, thank you, and he's like, thank you for walking. So
cooler than the other side of the fucking pillar.
So yeah, and then if you are advertising something, if you are like Misfits or Mr. Live Producer, or if you're like David and I, and you have stuff to give out, here's my tips. If you want to have marketing material that people actually want, that people will not just immediately stash, keep them small. Ideally small enough to fit in a pocket. There is nothing worse than someone handing you like an almost like a cardstock thick, like 8x10 piece of paper. Because what am I going to do with that? Make it small or make it useful. Give someone D20s, they're happy. We're dice fiends. We will always take more D20s, even if it just goes into a box and we never see it again. It's like, oh yeah, I want the. It doesn't even have to be a branded D20. You just tell people, do you want some dice? People will take it. Usable thing, like useful things. Those little packaged aspirin that are in like the sealed package. Everyone always has a headache at PAX Unplugged. Little sealed aspirins. Again, suckers or candy that has that for a sugar rush. Throat lozenges. Business cards can be hit or miss. When I was still so deep K lore for some of y'all who are newish here. I used to run a fandom cocktail blog. It got big. Like if I'd had help, it a lot more, but I didn't have help. And I figured out the best way. They were slightly larger than a business card. They were probably about a little bit smaller, but about this size. Hilariously, this says keep about this size, where the back was just like the name of the blog and the website. And on the front, I had the drink recipe. And I was walking around San Diego Comic Con where everyone's giving you shit. Like at San Diego Comic Con, people are constantly doing this, and you're like basically like dodging
I've
to
been to
avoid
Vegas.
things. Yeah. And people were like, I literally had someone like so we're standing in line. I'm just kind of handing them out as I'm walking by somewhere, and someone's like, and they take it and they stop and they turn around and they're like, "Thank you. This is something I can use. This is something that's actually useful to me." So if you have, the even if they're pins or like the lanyard flags, the badge flags that say, something useful, that is so appreciated because most of the stuff you get, you're going to throw into a bag. It's going to go into the suitcase. When you get home, it's going to come out of the suitcase. You're going to flip through it and go into the trash. You should say that, David. You should say the thing.
Well, I mean, look, so
Oh,
so
that's so sweet, Mr. Live Producer. Yeah, Mark Meir is just the kindest human.
thank you for hanging out, Ribbon. We will see
Yes.
you
Take
next
care.
stream. But for those of you who are watching, you see me type things to Kay all the time. Often I type things to sabotage Kay because I am an asshole. Like if I see like I will keep the most egregious memes, so I can just be like, here you go, while the camera is on. But Kay, amongst others, have pressed me into service to watch Umbrella Academy, and it has been torturous every moment. However, there's one character that I absolutely adore, best character on the show, and that's Five. Five is a whole mood, and I just realized in this moment, Kay looks like Five, and I was like, yes, yes, and so I typed to Kay, hey, I just realized you look like Five, and that's what that's
I need
and
a white colored shirt and a little.
I look, the one complaint I have is that he kept putting on that schoolboy uniform. And I'm like, listen, you don't strike me as a fetishist, so why do you keep wearing this? And then like season 3, I think he changed into a suit, and I'm like, okay, good.
Like, thank you. Fine.
You're like, thank fucking God. It's not what. And
the shorty shorts, or I guess the long shorts, with the tall socks.
and the handlers like being really into Five is just like, oh man, I miss you running around in them little shorts. I was just like, listen, someone call the cops. Someone alert the authorities.
Please.
That's a whole ass child.
Yes. Lurking Rider says, never meet your heroes, but Harry was lovely. Got to shake his hand and thank him for his words and with the family. He also occasionally would pop down to do a bit of shopping. People recognized him, and that was iconic, but respectfully smiled rather than, yeah, like, once at a convention I had at San Diego Comic-Con, I had breakfast with Gillian Anderson because so the hotel that I was in had like breakfast, a continental breakfast in the morning, and like it was a convention, so I needed a tank. So I go down, get my thing, turn around, every table is occupied, but usually by multiple people, except for one table against the far wall, which is a 4-seater with one person at it. And I'm like, sunglasses, right? And I like walk up and I'm like, can I sit here and eat? I don't want anything. Can I just, she's like, So I just sit and I'm just eating, right? Like I'm just like, I literally just need the space. I don't sit across from her. I sit like, the one over so it's less awkward. And after a couple minutes of like not being obnoxious, she was like, nice weather. And I'm like, oh yeah, great weather. Yeah. Having fun? Yeah. No. So I said like 2 words to Gillian Anderson over a breakfast. Just like, again, just don't be weird. It's always going to be a little awkward, but just don't be that level of weird. Mr. Light Producer, yes, Mr. Light Producer made awesome TTRPG safety cards, and I got to see the proofs of them. He handed out at thing, and it was, oh, the puns. I'm very pleased. I scrolled down, and I saw puns. Yeah, I lived in Hollywood, Lurking Writer, and then I've got a lot of name drops, and it's a little.
If you live in certain parts of town in Los Angeles or you work in certain industries, you end up bumping into a lot of celebrities for one reason or another, which is why a lot of LA people don't get starstruck because they'll be like, ugh, I made coffee for so and so. It's fine.
Yeah.
And that said, they're definitely assholes. And I love being in rooms with these people. Because I've seen assholes name drop celebrities that they're not really like close with, but they want to act like, and then someone will be like, "Oh, Tom Hanks, did he mention when he was gonna give me my money? Because he owes me 20 bucks. And the last time he was at my house drinking, the mess he made in my kitchen." And then you see these people just like crumble when they realize that, one, these celebrities are real people who have real friends, and two, that they aren't the real friends of these celebrities.
Yeah.
It's delightful. It's delightful.
As this is the convention chat, my first San Diego Comic-Con, and this again, this is the funniest. There's a whole roundabout as to how we get here, but the very short version of the story is Kevin Eastman got me into a heavy metal party by telling me he liked my.
Wow.
Full story?
Yeah, I want the full story.
So, my boss, my old CEO, was a giant Teenage Mutant Ninja and a good deal of money, CEO. And Kevin Eastman had a lot of one-off team stuff to sell. And he would come over to the office occasionally and just cool stuff and look at art and nerdy. And I sat, my desk was there. So I had never really like we'd kind of said hi, but we'd never done like the actual conversation. So it wasn't like, oh, I know Kevin Eastman. Like, yeah, I see that guy like once a month ish, roughly. And then we hosted Artist Alley, or we sponsored Artist Alley at San Diego Comic-Con. And so one of the things that we got was an invite to the heavy party. So myself and another person, coworker, go to this party, have the little VIP thing. We're on the list, or we don't have the VIP thing, but we're on the list, and we go up to the dude at the door, and we're like, "Hey, we're with company. You're here," and he's like, "Really?" And like, not really, but he was being very cagey, right? And so he's like, "Well, I might need to call and check on that." Like, okay, so call.
Yeah,
check on it,
you
right?
go.
Like
go do
yeah,
it.
and so he's just kind of being shitty. He's like, well, it's gonna take a sec. So we kind of step back, and we're just kind of like, hang out, fight. What do we? Should we wait? Is this not worth it? Is this party even cool enough to? We don't know, right? It's our first San Diego Comic-Con. And right about then, Kevin Eastman and like 3 of his posse roll up and walk up to the door. And the guy's like, "Oh, Mr. Eastman." He's like, "Yeah, hey, hey, this is da-da-da-da there with me." And he's like, "Yeah, of course." And then he turns to me and he goes, "By the way, I've been meaning to tell you, I really like your hair." And walks inside. And I turn to the guy and he's like, "Yeah."
Yep. Here you go.
My sister hugged Kenneth Braun, and my cousin helped Tom Baker buy a scarf. Just saying, everyone has stories. I was commenting, they seem to be, yeah, like some of us have a lot of them because just our industry or both.
Yep.
And yeah, PAX Unplugged is full of neurospicy geeks, including the people that watch on shows. Everyone I've met at PAX U, yeah, like, and here's the thing too. What's weird about PAX Unplugged, and it's extra weird because it started to break containment for me. But if you are on a stream, if you have ever been on a TTRPG that streamed, there's a chance you'll get recognized. Like, there is a very real chance. And, like, you know, the first couple times, it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, because, you know, it's one thing if it's like, oh, you know, it's Rex. I'm so excited to meet Rex. I was so excited to meet Rex, my PAX, because I'm like, or Unplugged. I'm like, I get to meet Rex. You know, there's people that names you recognize. But at PAX East, I'm walking out of a panel, and someone walks up to me and goes, "Excuse me, are you Kay?" Like,
Like, yeah, but how do you know? Who sent
like,
you?
here's the thing. Like, it's PAX East, so I'm like, is this video game? Like, because like I haven't been a face community manager in a long time. Like, where is this coming from? And it turned out he knew Chaotic Wholesome, and he had seen some of our charity stuff and was like, "Hey," and I'm like, and then and he'd seen me at a panel at PAX Unplugged. And I'm just like, this is wild.
It's wild.
Yes,
and
am I about
weird.
to be served papers? It's like, am I?
Right.
Is there a hidden camera? Am I unpunked?
Like, no, you have to speak to my lawyer.
Who's asking? But yeah, and then again, there's really cool things that happen unplugged, and that a lot of the are people also in the TT space who play in games or lurk in your chats, so you get to meet who are actually helping put the con together, who are like, it's so nice to meet you. And it's like, it's so nice that you're. Thank you. This con wouldn't happen without you.
Yeah, friend of the channel, that Kato has worked at PAX Unplugged multiple times.
And the other half of the dice is a saint and knows my love of Pokemon. Incredibly kind. And I am so grateful, and there is never any expectation, and yet somehow this incredibly kind. Also, Rex Verde is a literal giant and is an excellent, very friendly bodyguard.
Noted. Also, because like I'm short, and so I've had to lean back to look up at more than one man, but and the occasional foxy lady, but so how many days do you allocate to recover
Ooh.
from conventions?
Yeah, I am the size of running back in the NFL. Reminds the story. Random person. Are you that bloke? The one off the telly. Comedian Bill Bailey. That's very slight tangent, and then I will answer. I watched Will and there's an incredibly sweet documentary on Netflix about Will Ferrell and his person who wrote for him for years, who transitioned.
Oh yeah.
And watch, like, it is the sweetest. It is such a beautiful little thing. And like, I'm not a big Will Ferrell fan, but it was so touching. Outside of the moments when Will Ferrell was being, and it's just the moments of like, oh no, you're really like this IRL too. Good to know.
Yeah, the only Will Ferrell thing I will watch is video of him being lowered into a vat of boiling acid.
I do love Stranger Than Fiction. Than Fiction is one of my favorite. Harper Steele, thank you. Yeah, Will and Harper is so good. So good. But like they're clearly doing this thing where like they'd go up to a toll booth and he's like, you seen any famous people today? They're like, just you. Like, they're always just kind of testing, like, do you recognize? And I'm like, yeah, I could see that becoming a game. Okay. A 5-day working San Diego Comic-Con, you do not think about me for 3 days. Even thinking about me is too much. There's also different kinds of recovery. So I need about a day of just I need about a full day of, I am in my house. I'm not even watching TV. It is silent. The only sounds in my life are Jareth's wailing. And then after that, I bounce back pretty quickly. If you're more of an introvert and or you have worked that muscle less, it might not. And this is where it gets really tricksy when you have extrovert friends because they're on a high, right? They have just been
They're feeling great.
Their social battery is so full, and they're like, "We just hung out for 3 fucking days. Let's get on Discord. Let's do this right now. We're gonna plan all the games of future." And I'm like, "Stop!
If you don't get away from me,
about me,
right.
I do not exist right now. I need you affectionately to go the fuck away."
Like I have disappeared into my pocket dimension. Do not disturb.
Yes, if you think about me, an eldritch horror will come out of my eyes and eat. And Cherith wailing as he sings sea shanty. He sings me the song of his people constantly because he is hungry or he wants treats or he is nervous about something or he wants me to sit not where I'm sitting but somewhere else so he can make biscuits on my lap. That is better than
mostly nervous.
He's a screamer. But there is also a physical recovery aspect. Like I cannot finish a convention, spend a day at home, and then immediately hit the gym. I can't do it. My body is like, because that's the thing. If you have your Fitbit or your Apple whatever, look at how much you walk, because you've walked a lot. And yeah, and then on top of that, here's the other thing. On top of that, you're not just walking, you're doing a lot of standing, often on a cement floor. So you have just wrecked your body. You have put your body through some stuff. So I need, like, I'm usually PAX Unplugged. I'm good after about a day, but it's like 3 days, give or take, before I'm ready to hit the gym again. And I can kind of feel myself going up. And even that first day back at the gym, I might go a little bit. Also depends on how much and or little I'm sleeping and how much and or little back hurt. Because again, on top of doing all that walking, on top of doing all that standing, you've probably got a backpack, sling bag, and you've probably been carrying bags, and you've helped a drunk friend get home. So your whole body is just out of whack. You've slept in beds that are not your own. If you're even sleeping in a bed and it's not a pull-out or the floor. The number of conventions I have slept on the floor for, right? So how long did it take you to recover from
eating? Spiritually, I don't think I'll ever recover. But no, it took my legs 3 days to recover. Like I took a lot of drugs, and I bought new shoes, right? And I bought new shoes specifically for E3.
Did you break them in before we went? Do I have to scold you?
No. Like one, I didn't break them in, but I also didn't need to break them in because they were the British call them trainers. They were sneakers.
Yeah, I still have to break in sneakers.
Not the $60 New Balance ones. Like you slip them things in, you good to go. But I wore those shoes twice after E3 and had to throw them away because they were dead. I walked so much at E3, I killed those shoes.
That makes me sad.
It's fine. I'm also harder on shoes than most people are. But I was in bed off my feet. Like I wasn't even sitting up. I was just in bed, like outside of like working, because I at the time I worked from home. Outside of like the absolute work I had to do, I was the whale with the power.
The whale with the power. That is my cat. Yes.
But yeah, no. 3 days of being off my feet as much as possible. So plan ahead. Also plan your food when you get back too, because San Diego Comic-Con, E3, and I forget what type of convention it was, but I went to a convention just for 1 day in Long Beach. And like the following days, feeding myself was a fucking challenge. And now I know to have something ready to go because you're not going to want to stand in the kitchen.
I I finish a convention. I get home and all I want is pad thai with extra. I'm like, I need calories. I need the comfort food. I also need all of the vegetables. Like, I finish a convention, my body is like, give me veggies. No, not salad. Salad is not acceptable right now. Cooked vegetables with a protein is what you need. Ideally, also with a carb.
Yeah, you need, and that's the other thing is like, regardless of how well you plan, you're not going to eat the best at a convention. So make sure you have like full meals planned and ready to go after. Because if you get home and then it's pizza rolls in the air fryer
Yeah.
for 3 days, you're gonna delay your recovery and you're gonna feel like shit the next week.
Like, your stomach is already going to be a little from the con food and the drinking and the going and the going and the not stopping for 3 days. If you can throw veggies and a meat in a slow cooker, just eat off of that for a couple days. Um, so we are nearing the end of our time. I am winding down. This is great. I feel I have most.
Everyone
Awesome.
in chat,
Thank you
confess
all.
your sins.
Uh, if you have, we could be con heroes just for one. Um, look, I love all the Bowie connect. David Bowie. David knows how near David Bowie art. But if you have questions about conventions, prepping for, recovering from, what to do at, etc., now is the time. If you have um, tips or suggestions of your own while David is running off to do his thing, throw them out and I will do my best to answer. Be appreciated. Yeah, thank you all for hanging out with me. And a lovely break. I have been packing boxes. This is a wonderful little break. This is twice today I've sat down and Gilmore has aggressively gotten to sleep in my lap. Like, I sat down and Gilmore is like, mine, you don't get up. No, I need this. You need this. Stay. Uh, Mr. Live Producer, when it's a con, take more socks than you expect. Oh, that is excellent. Yes, you can double or triple sock and get a little more padding if your shoes poorly. Yes, and also the number of times I have worn a hole in a sock at a convention, and that actually starts tearing up your feet. Extra socks. Absolute pro tip. Usually one of my early things. If you step in a puddle and your socks get wet, there's not bring extra socks to a convention always. Side cramp. I mostly prepare to need to use sick time with work coming back. Sick time. Got con flu both times I went to BlizzCon, and it's even worse now. COVID. The number of people who are not masking at the so yes, wear masks. Be aware you're going to be run down. You want that sick time. I always request at least the Monday after the con off. Silly question: how does one deal with Geneva Convention interfering with your plans for world domination? Asking for a friend. David, I feel like that's in your.
Yes. For one, if you're not using the Geneva Convention protocols as a checklist, you're doing it wrong. And two, make sure that you are doing the things that you're doing under the guise of the foremost economic power on Earth, and then they'll just let you do whatever you want. Or you get away with anything.
My pro tip for that would be until it's on the list, it's not a war crime. Get creative.
Right.
Like Rex says, art happens within constraints. Also, if you invent something new and it gets added after, it wasn't a war crime when you did it.
Right. Like it's not a crime the first time.
Yep. Rex says, if you can have a crew that you are with at the show, because having a group to look out for you and each other can make a difference. This is also, look, y'all. It's weird to say I'm something of a known entity in this. And I adore almost everyone in the TTR space. And there are some people who I like, but they don't understand social boundaries, right? And I'm not even talking they're getting handsy. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to get
They're
out of the
still talking to you.
conversation. Yeah, and I have to go, and they are not. And being able to tell a friend, that person, like, talk to them, but I need you to help me get out of it after, like, because again, we're all neurodivergent weirdos, and it's wonderful, and we love it, and none of us, like, I don't want to ever say to someone, you need to stop talking to me. Like, I don't
Right.
want to be rude. They are doing their best and living their best life, and I am so honored and grateful that they like me and want to talk to me. But also, it's been 30 minutes, my dude.
Right. I got things to do.
Mr. Live Producer says, if you're doing giveaways like my TTRPG cards, make them easy to grab. Sunday I was cosplaying, and part of the cosplay was an apron. So much easier to get them away. Yes, I carry around an extra, like, bring extra bags too. Like, have your bag, and then have like a couple extra like market bags. Because what I do is I fill the first one with whatever goodies I'm giving away, and then it's super easy to hand it out. And then once that's empty, I can put stuff I buy in it. Because you will always find, either you will find something you have to buy, or you'll have to carry something for someone else, or something will fall apart and you'll need another bag because another bag. Put an extra bag or two in your, just do it.
And make space in your luggage.
Yep. Oh yeah, do not fill your luggage to the brim, especially at PAX Unplugged, because the number of giveaways, the number of stuff you get. Become the Skippy's list of war crimes, maybe meet 214 war crimes Skippy is no longer allowed to do. My standing order is, you need an out, flag me down. I'm always happy to be a wingman when escaping. Yeah, and it's also just more fun to be able to meet up with people, be able to go there with people. It's great. Title key finder in the pocket gives you a self-controlled way to break a conversation. Just DBL, press the middle button, and it rings your phone. That's clever. Name tags help, or flashcards, something you can easily point to, save your voice. Exactly. Again, and I really like a lot of places you can get badges where it's like, fist bumps, not hugs, or like handshakes, or, there's various little things that you could. This is how to approach me. Because I think most people do want to be respectful, but they get excited, or they're so nervous, and how do I behave? And everyone is in a different place. So, yeah. Tip: don't go to a con at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Ducky and I have learned this. Woo, yeah. All right.
Apparently, other cons at the Las Vegas Convention Center are better run than the one that we went to. However, if the con is scheduled in July or August in Las Vegas, ask yourself if it's worth it. Because it was minimum 117 degrees every day that we were there. 100. And I don't care anybody who's like, oh, your car's thermometer isn't accurate. And it was 115 degrees bare minimum every day. Like,
Yep.
like I just needed garnish. I was done.
And Philly has the opposite for me. It's very cold, and some conventions I was there, it rained the whole time. But watch out for the birds. I got hit by a bird in Philly. Not one of the bikes,
I remember this story.
A bird.
I remember this story.
A bird. And I'll never live it down. All right. Hot is hot. Full. Thank you all for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with a special guest, Callum, talking about his projects. Then we are going to vanish into the ether for a bit of time. I have to go through and make sure that the calendars and all that are updated, because my computer is going into a box, and I hope I will get it back and it will work and all of that good stuff. Also, a lot of our streaming times will be shifted. We have trained you all wonderfully, and we are so grateful that you all show up at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. that's about to change because I'm gonna be working Pacific time. So yeah, um, our stuff is going to start moving and fudging around, and we are going to have to look at how that's going to work from now on. So stay tuned. If you are not in the Discord, that's going to be the best place to uh, get. I cannot type today. That's going to be the best place to get the most up to date updates, or like ask like, hey, what's going on? Is there an idea? Um, however, let's make sure. This is our last stream for this week. Next week, you will see me with a blank wall behind me and terrible audio because this will be packed. But then after that, Ducky, you're not streaming on the 25th?
Looking at calendar.
Friday.
That Friday, I have no idea.
Okay. We will see. David may or may not be streaming. But you will not see me again until at least after Halloween.
Yeah.
At least. I will still be around Discord. I will still be on the socials probably. There will be plenty of Gilmore pictures as he learns what it's like to be a West Coast kitty.
Oh, yeah.
Facts, he was originally a Philadelphia kitty.
Oh my god, that explains so much about Gilmore.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Yes. Here in Australia, sporting gym, quick and clothing backups are handy. Little pill boxes of Pandol, Gastrostop, and other. Yeah, keep your Tums and your Pepto Bismol pills. I will say, due to the new time slot, I might struggle to meet every talk show. Look, Lurking Writer, I completely understand. I have one of my GMs for a home game. I have been trying to convince. Hey, Jason. No, we are just wrapping up, though. We are just at the very end. This is going to be, we're going to stream next week. We're going to do this next week, but after that, you're probably not going to see at least me until after Halloween because I am moving to the other coast. Our time zones our streaming times are going to change and all of that. One of my GMs, I play a home game with an incredible GM who I adore, and I've been trying to get him on the stream for ages. He works in tabletop. He's a writer for a system, a company, several systems. He's amazing. I've been trying to get him on forever. I just about convinced him right as I'm moving. And I'm like, well, it's now going to be, I think, 2 a.m. your time, my dude. Like, you should have let me, you should come around to it sooner. But I'm hoping we can get Ben on. I would love for you to meet. I need to see Ben and David dark humor off because it is going to just be incredible. There's also DST shenanigans at some point in a few weeks, month. Yeah. And yeah, the time zone changes, daylight savings.
Yep.
Before I go on that rant, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Thank you to the transmissions for the raid. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out, for asking questions, for answering questions, for sharing knowledge, and for just being awesome. We appreciate you so much. Since next week we will have a guest, I'm going to get the goopy out now. And thank you so much for supporting us from LA to New York and then back again. Haha. You all are wonderful.
Back again.
Right? I cannot wait to see you all with a new setup, and I hope you are kind to yourself, excellent to others, and we will see you next time.